The most significant news for this entire football team during the offseason has been Sonny Styles' move to linebacker, because this is just a guy that just has so much talent. You got to find a place for him, and just finding that fit, whether it was safety or linebacker. But of course, he is now going to fill that role for a unit that, of course, loses Tommy Eichenberg and Steele Chambers.
I think it's an interesting move and one that most people expected because of Sonny Styles' natural build. I mean, he came in at, I think, 6'4", 204 pounds. That was going to be his weight heading into his senior year of high school. Remember, he reclassified to come to Ohio State a year early. So just naturally big, very big. And, he was fighting to kind of keep his weight down to be a defensive back, be a safety. You saw the production last year. It was good as he kind of rotated in that nickel role with Jordan Hancock for most of the season. And then eventually when Lathan Ransom gets hurt, he moves back to what Ohio State calls the adjuster safety position. But I do think, especially with, and we'll get to the safeties, but kind of the numbers that they have at that position compared to the linebackers, where you mentioned Steele Chambers, Tommy Eichenberg, both gone, it makes sense to move Sonny to a linebacker position, probably something he's going to play at the next level anyway. He said when we spoke to him that he'd already kind of been learning just on his own some of the linebacker things because he did see that in some future for him. Now he's actually in the rooms, in the meetings, lining up at the position. So look, I've said this a few times this offseason. It's not a video game. You don't just move a guy to a new position and it just clicks. And I think you look at another linebacker in CJ Hicks, who played a little bit of everything in high school. It's taken him a couple of years to get used to the way Ohio State wants to use him in a linebacker role. With Sonny Styles, because he's been on the field, because of his not only natural gifts, but football intelligence, things like that, you expect the process to go quicker, but you just never know, right? Well, the good news is it sounds like things have gone well. Sonny said there's still plenty he needs to learn about the position, but he feels like he's making good progress. And, Jim Knowles even talked about it's not necessarily Sonny Styles or CJ Hicks, though they will be competing for that second linebacker spot next to Cody Simon, the weak side linebacker. But that the three of them, because of how athletic Sonny is, could be on the field together and more three linebacker packages, if you will, even though Sonny can kind of play as that nickel corner if needed, or nickel safety. So I'm interested to see, once we actually get to see them play football, what that looks like, how often that gets used. But certainly Sonny gives you a lot of versatility as an additional linebacker.
So 3 players for 2 spots that could turn into 3 spots based on some different packages that they employ. Is there anybody else that could possibly work into the mix?
Arvell Reese is a name to kind of keep in mind. He's a guy who's generated some buzz. The second-year player. There's been talk about whether he would remain at linebacker, move to defensive end. Our Bill Kurlick reported a week or so ago when Ohio State had their first scrimmage that, from people that were there, that Arvell was doing some stuff at middle linebacker, which is not where I expected him to line up. So interesting to see if maybe he can work his way in a little bit, though I don't expect him to be a starter. I mentioned Cody Simon. I mentioned CJ Hicks. Gabe Powers is probably the other one I'd group in as a possibility if you're just looking for names of guys that could step in as a depth piece. He's in entering his third year. There's been some positivity about him and kind of what steps he's taken over the course of his career. Unless somebody gets hurt, though, or they have to change some things, I don't see Gabe Powers having a massive role this year. But I do like to hear that the progress is being made from a guy who was a little overshadowed because he came in at the same class as CJ Hicks, 5-star Ohio kid. Gabe Powers was a highly recruited guy, 4-star as well. So again, sometimes it takes guys some time to kind of get up to speed. And it sounds like Gabe Powers is starting to get to where they feel comfortable, at least if he needed to go in a game in a big moment, he could do that.
Folks, we have an Amazon link. You can find it in the description section of all the videos, and it's the same shopping experience. It doesn't cost you a penny, so please use that link when you shop on Amazon. Of course, hit the like button as well. Join Pat on bucknuts.com.